Gunmen kill 17 in an attack on Benue community. President Tinubu condemns Borno Kaduna abduction, orders immediate rescue of victims. And Senate leader decries weak investment in women in commemoration of 2024 International Women's Day. Glad to have you join us on TV360 Nigeria. I'm Tamilore Akinkwolye. Now, once again, tragedy has struck Wa East local government area of Benue State, with reports indicating that at least 16 individuals has lost their lives. Suspected bandits, armed and dangerous, launched a brutal attack on several communities within the local government area on Thursday night, instilling fear and chaos. This latest attack follows closely on the heels of a deadly incident where rival militia group targeted the Gbagri community in Ukum local government area of the state, resulting in the tragic loss of no fewer than 40 lives merely 24 hours earlier. And still on insecurity, President Bola Tinubu has condemned the abduction of internally displaced persons and students in Borno and Kaduna State and has directed an immediate rescue of the victims. In a statement by Special Advisor to the President, Ajuri Ngulali, on Friday, the President described the victims as very vulnerable, directing security and intelligence agencies to rescue them and ensure that justice is served against the perpetrators of the abominable act. Over 280 pupils and teachers of government secondary school and Leah Primary School at Kuriga, Kaduna State were adopted by bandits on Thursday, triggering nationwide outrage. Meanwhile, the United Nations Children's Fund UNICEF has also condemned the adoption of students by bandits in the state. It said the alarming frequency of such incidents across the country signaled a crisis that requires immediate and determined action from all. UNICEF added that it is coordinating with local officials and providing assistance to the affected parents and families through psychological support services. And in the midst of the escalating security concerns in Nigeria, particularly with the presence of bandits in certain areas, questions are being raised about the effectiveness of governmental policies and actions to address these issues. Dennis Amakri, a former director of the Department of State Service, DSS, has weighed in on the matter. Now, speaking out on the situation on our flagship program, DG360, Amakri laid emphasis on the urgency of the matter and the need for swift action to ensure the safety of those affected. He added that on the kidnapped students in Kaduna, the government should refrain from engaging in ransom payment to the terrorists. Instead, he advocates for immediate and proactive measures to track down the perpetrators.
We have to go back to basics, because now when you come to think about it, the pertinent questions to ask are these. One, who are these bandits? Why are they here and trying to kidnap students? Remember what happened in Chibok? Till today, we still have people in Chibok. Some of these students are still with the kidnappers. So we have to go back to the fundamentals. How did it happen? And then address it properly. Because if we don't address the root causes of this kidnapping, it will continue to happen. And then, of course, like we used to say, politicians will come and make political statements and then, of course, go away. And I just pray we don't give them ransom again, because it will just continue like that. I was very happy when I saw a lot of military trucks, trying to come and then maybe trying to locate those bandits. Beautiful. If they can do that, these people will be back in no time. But we allow them to go with all the children they have, and then, of course, get themselves settled, and they start making phone calls. Asking for ransom, this and that. No, we don't want the government to even think about it, because I know that's what they are thinking. They want to just say, okay, the children will be back very soon. So they send some negotiators to go in there and then negotiate, pay them, and bring out the children and say that, oh, we've rescued them. No, I don't think that will be the process. They should go ahead after them right now. And if they want to actually go and rescue these people, I think they should not waste any time.
In commemoration of International Women's Day on Thursday, the 8th of March 2024, Senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, led by Senate President Godswill Akpabio, suspended the plenary to celebrate women senators by cutting a cake to mark the day. In celebration of the day, members of the House of Representatives has resolved to review all of gender-based legislation of the Ninth Assembly on women's participation in politics and other sectoral matters. This is in recognition of the accomplishment of women worldwide, including those in Nigeria.
I want to believe seriously that a lot is being done by all different organizations, the international communities, even in Nigeria, for us, the NGOs, for us to increase what we have. And I want to believe by the grace of God, we are going to increase that number by the next election. However, I want to encourage women not to rest on their oars. Some have been out, they've contested, they've lost the election. And as such, they've withdrawn. This is not the time to withdraw. It is time to continue to push. And as long as we continue to push, by the grace of God, they will see the potential in you and give you the support that you need. That is
now the theme for
quite a number of the bills that were presented previously in the National Assembly. The women in this 10th Assembly are working seriously on it, and by the grace of God, we hope to bring some of them back. And just for us to get the consensus amongst the men, we are again discussing with them, and we hope that by the grace of God, when those bills are returned back to the Senate, they will be given desired support.
As we celebrate the International Women's Day, we should have it at the back of our mind that women are grossly underrepresented in decision-making process, and it's a clarion call on us to take deliberate steps with a view to bringing about inclusivity in governance, particularly with regard to gender representation of women in governance.
Still on the International Women's Day, which serves as a global platform to advocate gender equality and women's rights, the theme for 2024, Invest in Women, Accelerate Progress, underscores the critical need to prioritize investment in women's empowerment as a means of driving social, economic, and political progress. Our correspondent, Okbayemi Owosheni, has more on the story.
Since its inception over a century ago, International Women's Day has evolved into a global movement for gender equality. While progress has been made, significant challenges persist, including gender-based discrimination, unequal access to opportunities, and systemic barriers that hinder women's advancement. Addressing these challenges requires targeted efforts to invest in women and support their empowerment across all sectors of the society. Medical doctor and gender advocate Gloria Lakba says the health sector, specifically the maternal and child health sector, is a good area to focus on in terms of giving women the power and empowerment they deserve and accelerating the progress of empowering the women.
Maternal and child health. So maternal health, especially, it's a very good area to emphasize on in terms of giving women the empowerment that they deserve, and of course, accelerating progress in that process. So it is important that we give women rights to their body, and then they should be included at the table, not just for them to be tools or voting tools or campaign tools and all that. They should be included. They should have a say. Women's voices should be heard.
While progress has been made, significant challenges remain in advancing gender equality and investing in women. Access to education is one of such challenges.
Access to education is another major challenge that women have to deal with, because thankfully society is evolving and things are changing. People now know better, but we still have some women who still do not have access to education. Some of them probably stop in primary school. Some of them have dreams to be presidents, lawyers, doctors, nurses, and they can't pursue some of these their aspiration because of access to education. So we live in a system where women are hardly seen or represented in the political space and the economic leadership in society. So I believe when we have more women take position of leadership, things will be very different.
There is a call for government to take more actions as regards policies for women.
Women are great leaders, right? So if we have more women in positions of leadership, then there would be that room for policies that are inclusive. So inclusive policies for men and women would feature in that future because there are more women on board.
Women say they envision a more inclusive society for the female gender.
In my perspective, envisioning a more diverse background is a society where a woman cannot be limited to a particular role, a particular position, or what to do or what not to do. A society where whatever a man is doing, a woman should be able to do as much as that, as long as they are capable of doing it.
When women are empowered, the world is empowered, and so I think that there's a lot of work needed to be done in empowering women across all spheres, especially in, say, the field of work.
As the world commemorates International Women's Day, it is important it commits to taking action to support and invest in women's empowerment, advancing gender equality, and creating a more inclusive and equitable world for all. Okpeyemi Owosheni, TV360 News, Lagos.
The federal government says it has commenced the construction of the 700-kilometer Lagos to Calabar Coastal Highway. David Umahi, Minister of Works, disclosed this in a statement on Thursday issued by Oji Uchenna, a special advisor on media in Abuja. He said the contractor began the work after the official handover of the first phase of the project, made up of 47.47 kilometers of dual carriageway, to Hightech Construction Company Limited. He commended the construction company for being reputable for quality and speedy delivery of jobs, acknowledging their effort in starting work immediately after the contract was awarded.
We've already said, as a policy of Ministry of Works, that we will not pay variation for any delayed project. Well, we have to say that for the sake of saying that, because Hightech is noted for performance, is noted for beating time. The time for this Section 1 is 36 months. It is going to run concurrent with the Section 2 and Section 3. But right now, I'm handing over Section 1 to Hightech Construction Nigeria Limited for them to start work. We've been to this corridor before, but today is to hand over the site. And now we are also handing over the site properly to the ESIA in charge of environment, today, to them, and to put Hightech Construction and ESIA company together so that they will start work.
The federal government has called on African nations to empower welding trading institutes by providing them with resources and partnerships necessary to enhance their programs. The Minister of State for Steel Development, Ubami Gari Amadu, who made the call in Lagos while declaring open the second annual Assembly and International Welding Federation Africa Conference, said by doing this it will help the welding industry and equip the next generation of welding professionals. Amadu assured the gathering that the Nigerian government remains firmly committed to working hand in hand with Welding Federation Africa to bridge the gap created by the demand for skilled welders across Africa.
People who, after gaining this training, can employ themselves, they can be self-employed, and they can even go abroad with the new technology introduced in the institutes and their curriculum, They can do spot welding, if you understand what it means, and such other specialist type of welding. They can export their skills abroad and forex and help us in pushing up this currency crisis against the naira that we are battling to stabilize. These are billion-dollar industries. So if you take the numbers and we're able to train the numbers, deploy them into those areas, they have the capacity to generate income for themselves and livelihood and improve the lives of their dependents. That is one area that is very important to this government. I have repeatedly said that it is very key to what we are doing as a government.
Now to Lagos State. Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has charged the Federal Ministry of Justice to build a justice system that not only dispenses justice but fosters a sense of belonging to ordinary Nigerians. It disclosed this at a 3-day retreat of the Federal Ministry of Justice top management, adding that the ministry's success would be measured by the positive impact felt by ordinary Nigerians seeking justice. Our correspondent Sydney Okafor has more details.
Gathered in this hall are legal practitioners and stakeholders in the legal system, as well as the Lagos State Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, to discuss ways to improve the legal system at the 3-day retreat of the top management of the Federal Ministry of Justice in Lagos. Currently, Nigeria ranks 120 out of 142 in nations adherence to the rule of law, according to the World Justice Project 2023 Global Rule of Law Index. To change the narrative and enhance the legal system and strengthen the rule of law in Nigeria, the Lagos State Governor has called on the legal practitioners to build confidence among ordinary citizens who feels it is missing.
As we delve into discussions, imagine we should all keep in mind the overreaching goal to build a justice system that not only dispenses justice, but fosters a sense of trust and confidence within our citizens. The success of all your efforts will be measured by the positive impact felt by ordinary Nigerians that are seeking justice.
Lateef Fagbemi, the Attorney General of the Federation, says the Ministry of Justice is critical to the agenda of the federal government to build a strong economy and combat corruption and insecurity in the country.
The role of the ministry, that is Federal Ministry of Justice, is critical to the agenda of the government to build a strong economy and combat corruption and insecurity. Our duties are an amalgamation of law and policy. It is therefore critical that we continually review our operational strategies to enable us meet the yearnings of our people for an effective, efficient, and people-oriented justice system.
Commissioner for Justice in Lagos says humans cannot do without justice, urging colleagues on due diligence in their duties.
Significance for me is the fact that more than any time in our world today, justice is intentionally being integrated into every facet of our lives, and therefore it's important that the institution and the officials that are responsible for ensuring that we have justice in our country are more also deliberate in the way and manner they carry out their role.
The Attorney General of the Federation says that the Ministry of Justice will intensify efforts to fulfill its mandate and take all necessary measures to overcome the obstacles in the judiciary for the benefit of Nigerians. Sydney Okafor, TV360, Lagos.
We'll take a break now, but coming up next, RAP calls for review of 2024 budget projection over Naira devaluation. We'll have this and other stories when we return. Welcome back. As a recap of our main stories, President Bola Tinubu has condemned the abduction of internally displaced persons and students in Benue and Kaduna states and has directed an immediate rescue of the victims. The president, through his special advisor Ajuri Ngolale on Friday, said he described the victims as very vulnerable, directing security and intelligence agencies to rescue them and ensure that justice is served against the perpetrators of the abominable act. We also told you that in commemoration of the International Women's Day on Thursday, the 8th of March 2024, senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, led by Senate President Godswill Akpabio, suspended the plenary to celebrate women senators. In celebration of the day, members of the House of Representatives have resolved to review all of gender-based legislation of the Ninth Assembly on women's participation in politics and other sectoral matters. This is a recognition of the accomplishment of women worldwide, including those in Nigeria. And in case you missed any of the news bulletin or for more updates, you can catch us on Limes World TV and AVO TV or log on to our website on www.tv360nigeria.com. You can also follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram and YouTube at TV360 Nigeria or download our mobile app on Google Play Store, Huawei App Gallery and Apple Store. On Facebook, we're at TV360 Online. Let's now join Okwayemi Owosheni to bring us up to speed with news in the world of business. Over to you, Okwayemi.
Thank you, Tamilore. Hello and welcome to Business News. In the world of business, the House of Representatives has called for a review of the 2024 budget projections owing to the free fall of the Naira in the past few months. Rising from plenary session on Thursday, the lawmakers adopted a motion on a matter of public urgent importance titled Need to Evaluate the Implications of the Current Exchange Rate on the 2024 National Budget Implementation to ensure a balanced budget and increase in the standard of living of Nigerians. The motion moved by Kafilat Ogbara, a lawmaker, brought the attention of the House to the fluctuating FX rate since the passage of the 28.7 trillion 2024 budget by the National Assembly and the subsequent assent by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Ogbara, who doubles as the House Committee Chairman on Women Affairs and Social Development, noted that the initial proposal of the federal government on the 2024 budget, based on a projected 800 to the dollar, was no longer feasible. We'll take a short break and be back with Stock Market Report. It's been a great week of trading for Nigeria equities market as the markets maintained the winning streak throughout the week. The market still maintained the northward progression on the last week day of trading as markets increased by 0.4% with the market cap at 57.3 trillion naira. The market breadth also ended on a positive note, which is a good one, as 28 stocks advanced and 22 stocks declined. MTN Nigeria led the gainers with a 9.99% share price appreciation, closing at 221 naira 40 kobo. Followed closely by Dangote Sugar, which closed at 55 naira 65 kobo. Now, at the end of the last week day of trading on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, that's NGX, a total of 358 million of shares were exchanged in 10,785 deals, corresponding to a market value of over 19 billion were traded. Now, compared with the previous NGX trading day, that's Thursday, March 7th, today's data shows 35% decline in volume, 12% improvement in turnover, and 11% improvement in deals. Now let's take a switch to our select global stock to see how they are faring today. Well, it's a similar case as well for our global equities as the US Dow Jones maintained its northward progression today, and Japan's Nikkei also recovered from previous day losses to end in the bullish trade at 0.26% and 0.23%. It's sad news, however, for UK FTSE as it ended in the bears at 0.43%. Well, that's it on both business and stock market report. Back to you, Tamilore, for the rest of the news.
Thank you, Okpayemi. Now, on the global scene, the Secretary General of United Nations, Antonio Guterres, has said the world must invest in programs to end violence against women and to drive women's inclusion and leadership in economies, digital technologies, peace building, and climate action. The UN Secretary, who discloses during his message to commemorate International Women's Day, said the world must stand with women and girls fighting for their rights and commit to accelerating progress. He also emphasized the need to increase the number of women leaders in business, finance, central banks, and finance ministries.
We celebrate women and girls around the world, and we applaud all they have achieved in the fight for equality. Women and girls have made great gains, demolishing barriers, dismantling stereotypes, and driving progress towards a more just and equal world. Yet they face immense obstacles. Billions of women and girls face marginalization, injustice, and discrimination, while the persistent epidemic of violence against women disgraces humanity. Our world still reflects millennia of male-dominated power relations, and progress is under attack with a fierce backlash against women's rights. At our current rate, legal equality is some 300 years away. We must move much faster. On International Women's Day, we stand with women and girls fighting for their rights, and we commit to accelerating progress. This year's theme, Invest in Women, reminds us that ending the patriarchy requires money on the table. We must support women's organizations on the front line, and we must invest in programs to end violence against women and to drive women's inclusion and leadership in economies, digital technologies, peace building, and climate action.
And finally, on sports, the Flying Eagles of Nigeria started their campaign in men's football event at the 13th African Games in Ghana with a 2-1 defeat to Uganda. The opening Group B match was played at the University of Ghana Sports Stadium, Legion, on Thursday night. The Nigerian team coached by Laden Bosu considered first in the 34th minute against expectation, but batted back to equalize and ended the first half level. The Nigerian team must now get results from their remaining games against South Sudan and Senegal to be able to go through from the group. And that wraps up our bulletin on News Now. Many thanks for watching. I'm Tamilore Akinkwele.